Good morning, friends. This is your old girl, Melanie Rose, here to share your daily aspects. Today is Friday, February 4th, 2022, and the sun is in Aquarius as well as Saturn. Now, Saturn co-rules Aquarius with Uranus. Saturn is traditionally Aquarius's ruling planet, so the fact that Saturn is in Aquarius and will be there until, I think, 2023, tells me that Aquarius is very largely ruled by Saturn right now, with a lesser emphasis on Uranus. Aquarius sun vibes ask us to sort of take a larger perspective on especially those things that we consider foundational to our hearts and our families. I'll put my little eyeballs on there today, no problem. At this point, we have made it through the hard part. Okay, so while the sun has been in Aquarius, we had Venus in retrograde through all of Capricorn, which is also ruled by Saturn. And then also, up to now in Aquarius, the last week, Venus just went out of retrograde and back direct. And then last night actually, Mercury just went direct. So we're out of that retrograde of the personal planets phase for now. So woohoo, we got it through the hard part. We've made it through. Saturn does still rule the day. You'll see when I pointed out that Saturn is really everywhere on the page. So we're still enjoying some themes around our structural integrity and our duty to maintain our structures. But we also are now experiencing some initiative and the beginning of some momentum toward actually shoring up those foundations, strengthening where we need to strengthen them, and putting in the work to make sure that we feel solidly supported. And the moon begins today in Pisces. It moves into Aries this evening later on. And that represents a shift in the heart and home from a more creative and imaginative vibe to a more assertive vibe. Aries is ruled by Mars, and it always brings in sort of the initiative and the drive and the fire, the gumption, the passion. It also brings in, a tendency towards some irritability and anger and aggressive behavior. And we're going to see some of that on the page today too, because Mars is figuring in under this Aries moon. And the waxing crescent phase of this moon invites us to continue making our plans. Now that we've set some intentions with the new moon, we're going to make our plans so that coming up on Tuesday with this first quarter moon, we have some ideas about what we need to do to enact the fruition of some short-term goals or long-term goals, so that we can have something to celebrate with the full moon a week after that. Okay, let's take a look at the planets that are on the page so we have an idea what sort of energies we're vibing with today, and then we'll go ahead and get into the aspects. The sun is always at the top of the page, and the sun represents the outer life. This is who we are in our work life, our social life, and our civic life. It's the person that people first get to know when they meet you. That's your outer life. The moon represents the inner life, and this is more about your relationship with yourself, those things you think, feel, know, and intuit, as well as who you are in your domestic space in your home life. Mercury is your personal planet for the intellect, so that relates especially to your day-to-day thoughts, plans, and communications and the running around that you do. Venus is on the page, I think just representing for Friday today. Friday is Venus's day, and Venus is our planet for love and money. So how do you relate to those people and things that you value the most? The things you like, love, and can't get enough of. You love them and you'll pay for them too. Mars is your personal planet for initiative. So this is, again, that fire in your belly that gets you moving forward, that makes you assertive, that gives you drive and passion, and a little impatience. Jupiter is your representative for growth among the planets, positive expansion and good fortune, higher education, worldwide travel, big business, those kind of larger experiences that we can have. Saturn, once again, is about the networks and structures that we lean on for support and validation, and our responsibility to maintain those structures, to keep them strong. Pluto is the planet that brings us all through some extremes of experiences, and through those extremes of experience, we are transformed. We get to evolve into our next higher self, hopefully. And Chiron is an asteroid, not a planet, and it represents your capacity to heal and those specific things that you're healing from in this life. I really recommend looking up your Chiron placement in your chart. You can find a Chiron calculator online pretty easily, and doing so is likely to help you have an understanding what it is that you're working on in this life in terms of what you need to heal. We have some aspect energies on the page today, but I'm just going to touch on those as we go through. As you can see, we have a lot going on the page today. The page is divided into two columns, one for each of our luminaries. The moon sheds light on our inner lives, and these very brief transits and aspects have more to do with ambient energies that might affect your emotions, your moods, your intuitions. The sun sheds light on our outer lives, and I address the sun's aspects and the rest of the planet's aspects on this side because they take longer than those lunar aspects, and they have more to do with who we are and how we show up in our outer life. And we begin with the moon today, Central Standard Time, friends. 3:41 this morning. A void of course moon makes a sextile aspect with Pluto. So void of course means that this is the last aspect that the moon is going to make while in Pisces, and after that the next move it will make is into Aries. And moon in aspect with Pluto tends to bring up some deep understanding, realization. This is sort of a very early morning, middle of the night kind of aspect. So you might have a dream, or you might wake up to some sort of, again, deep recall or fresh understanding that sort of transforms your outlook, especially in the heart and home. And the message I got when reflecting on this, especially with the sextile aspect, which is cooperative, is to collaborate with the people you have at home to break out of old habits. If you don't have anybody at home, hopefully you have somebody that you are close to and that can be sort of your accountability partner. If you've got an old habit you're trying to bust through, hopefully maybe you'll come to some fresh realization about how to do that, and you can collaborate with somebody to help you. Then at 8:56 in the morning, the moon makes ingress to Aries. So ingress is a sign of transition. The moon is literally moved out of one sign and into the next. So, moving from that creative and imaginative space into this more assertive space. It doesn't mean we let go of our creativity and imagination, but it just does mean that we become more assertive. And forward thinking and forward acting. Like action is the name of the game for Aries. It's a very action oriented sign. First, I want to point out that there are about 5 hours here between the void of course moon and the moon's ingress into Aries. So that's 5 hours where you can get into your intuitive and introspective practices, especially coming off of that moon sextile Pluto, where you may be awakened to something that will change your perspective in your heart, or you're trying to awaken to something that will change your perspective in your heart. It's a good time to just get into your intuitive practices. Ask yourself, ask those people who know you well about, what you're doing going forward as you move out of this creative space into this more assertive space, because then you're going to want to take action. At 8:56 a.m., the moon makes ingress to Aries, And this represents increased drive and initiative, especially from the heart and in the home. And that helps us answer this call to do and be better. So I really feel like this is all of a piece here. This 5 hours is going to have us thinking and sort of cogitating, trying to work out how we can move forward with something that is transformative in our perspective and our ability to go out into the world. And then we're going to want to, take action to answer that call. And then this evening, actually Saturday morning at 12:27 a.m., the moon makes a square with Mars. Again, this is a middle of the night kind of thing. At this time, when the moon is square with Mars, defensive behavior can get in the way when we're fighting to get what we want. So moon in aspect with Mars gives us this sort of heart-centered initiative toward meeting our desires, okay? And sometimes when we are in this space of trying to meet our desires, we can be, especially where Mars and Aries are involved, very aggressive. We can be a little bit irritable. And if we get called on that, we might be a little bit defensive. So, just be aware of that. The square aspect says challenges may arise. Somebody may challenge us on our behavior in our sense of initiative. And it's okay to be challenged. It's okay to take a step back and say, hey, maybe the way I'm behaving is not the best way to get what I want. Okay, on the sun side of the page, in the ongoing column, we have Mercury conjunct Pluto. So Mercury has been conjunct Pluto for a little over a week now. And they're going to be within 1 or 2 degrees of each other, so basically overlapping in the sky from now through the 12th. And thank goodness Mercury has come out of retrograde. We were having some pretty tough conversations with ourselves in regards to the transformation that we seek, the changes that we are definitely going through as we grow up a little bit at this time. It's okay to take a break. The transformation you have been working for is still in motion. It's not avoidable. And you also don't have to be full steam ahead working on it all the time, okay? At a certain point in working toward transformation, you can be like, okay, I know exactly what I need, and I feel this change that I'm going through, and I'm just going to keep pushing forward. But honestly, if you don't step back, Aquarius vibes, and get some perspective, then perhaps it's not going to go as well for you. You can't be rigid about transformation. You have to be open to it all coming in. So it's all right to back up and gain some perspective on what's been going on, and pat yourself on the back a little bit for the parts of this transformation you have made, and also just step back and for a minute, take a break, and allow it to work on you. Then in today today at 7:08 in the morning, Saturn reaches its aphelion. So again, this is about waiting for our manifestations, our transformations to come in. Saturn Epihelion is the Saturn's farthest point from the sun in its elliptical orbit around the sun. That means that even though the sun and Saturn are hanging out in the same sign at this time, and even though Saturn is strong because it's in its home sign, Saturn is just going to have a little bit of a delayed effect as it comes in. And that's kind of funny to me, because look at all these planets that are impacted by Saturn right now. The Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Pluto. So that's Saturn, and that's Saturn. And that is Saturn. And Saturn is Saturn, obviously. Mars, not Aries, although Aries is ruled by Mars, so there is a little bit of a Saturn influence there as well. The Sun, Saturn, Mars. Okay, so again, Saturn's influence is very strong right now. It has been really bearing down on us a lot lately. I know I've done several episodes in a row now where we talk about how heavy Saturn's influence is. And again, those Saturn themes are, about shoring up and strengthening your foundations, refining, seeing what needs to change and shift in order to make yourself feel solid, grounded, stable, supported. And that's your responsibility to make sure those relationships and those efforts that you make, the work that you do. Saturn is very worker mode. That we're doing what's tried and true, that we're taking a look at our traditions and making sure that they work for us. Okay, so at this point, again, taking a break from the transformation train just for a little bit as we wait for some of our manifestations to show their face and come in. Be aware of that. Then at 7:37 a.m., so just like a half an hour later, Mars makes a sextile with Jupiter. So this is your sense of initiative, and this is the possibility of growth and expansion in your life. Okay, this is your good fortune, positive expansion planet. So we're going to see at this time an increase in initiative and optimism. This is going to be at least 4 days. I'm going to look it up and see how much longer I think it will be affecting us. So we have increased initiative and optimism. We have this ability at this point because, Mars is initiative and Jupiter is expansion. So we have this ability to really see the way forward very clearly. We have this ability to see the expansion in a really clear light, or it's coming into us. And then this is both a competitive and cooperative vibration in our drive to expand. It's it's a good time for competition, like in sports. I saw something said that it was a good time for war. It's also a very sexy time. Mars is your sexual assertiveness, and so perhaps you'll have some good fortune with that as well. And then this afternoon at 1:05 in the afternoon, the Sun makes a conjunct with Saturn. So again, a spotlight, like Saturn just made its Epihelion. It's sitting here with the Sun in Aquarius, which is its home space. The Sun is going to make a conjunct with Saturn, and that just turns like a spotlight on the Saturn themes. They're literally like in the same place in the sky, within 1 degree of each other, basically overlapping. And that tends to intensify the brightness if you think about it that way. So both of these are amplified. That's your outer life, who you are in your work, civic, and social spaces, and your sense of groundedness, foundational support, and responsibility. So there's a spotlight on those themes. How well have you, during all of this Saturn rigmarole, integrated or embodied these themes? It's something to be thinking about and to be paying attention to. If during this time, which is really going to be just a day or two, if during this time things start to fall apart, okay, then it's time to make a new assessment of your foundations and change course. That's something to really pay attention to, okay? If you thought things were going really well and you're feeling really supported and stable, and it turns out that, like, a leg drops out from underneath you or something, and I'm not talking about like your literal leg, but I'm thinking of like a table with 4 legs. If one of those legs drops out, then your foundation is not solid, all right? And it's really time to address that portion and try something different. You're gonna have to get a different leg up underneath there. I hope that allegory works okay. So that's what's on the page for today. Coming up on Sunday, Mars is going to make a square with Chiron, and this is going to bring in some perhaps some aggressive and irritable traits as we seek to perhaps mend some things and heal some things in our lives. So we'll talk about that when it comes up. And then on Tuesday, we'll have that first quarter moon in Taurus, which will be our signal to begin doing the work to put our plans into effect. Okay, so that is it for the aspects today. If you have if anything comes up for you here, if you have any thoughts, considerations that come up that you want to share, I would appreciate it if you go ahead and put them in the comments section. I will see your comments and respond to them. And at this point, I am gonna throw a tarot card. If you are still here with me, go ahead and, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, share this with somebody that you think it might resonate with, especially people who are struggling with this Saturn and this sense of initiative. Man, it's not easy. It's not easy doing this work. So, I understand that. I feel that, and we can all use a little support and help at times like these. So if it resonates for you and you think it will resonate for somebody that you're close to, please share it with them. The tarot card on the side of the page represents the second 10 days of the sun's transit through Aquarius, and this tarot card is the Six of Swords. This is very much a vibration of, having perhaps been in a conflict, whether you started it or not. You've been in a conflict and you're finding that conflict isn't working for you, so you're moving away from it. You're making a new plan, you're making a new assessment, you're changing course, right? This Sun conjunct Saturn really reflects this energy. So it's okay to change course if you find you've been in conflict and that it's really just dragging you down, and it's not going to be workable for you to stick around in a certain situation, a certain relationship, a certain any circumstance that you found yourself in. It's all right to back off. It's okay to move away and, again, gain some perspective, and then make your new assessment and move forward from there. As for today's tarot card, I'm just going to remind myself and these cards that I am shuffling that the Sun and Saturn are in Aquarius, that the waxing crescent moon is moving out of Pisces into Aries today, and this, again, really heavy Saturn theme with these issues of Mars initiative coming in. Mars sense of not just initiative, but perhaps impatience, assertiveness, turning to aggression. So I really want to ask about that. Ace of Swords. So Ace of Swords, first of all, aces kind of represent the whole suit. So let's be reminded that swords are about our thoughts, plans, and communications. This is the intellect. It's very much a Mercury vibration. And this is also, sort of like good fortune in having a fresh idea, a fresh perspective on something, which is, we're being asked to gain fresh perspective if something isn't working. We're being asked again and again to gain fresh perspective if something isn't working, because we need the stuff to work, right? And perhaps it's a good thing that this Saturn Epihelion is delaying these Saturn effects as we continue to evolve and transform our perspective toward those foundations that we're trying to keep solid, so that we feel supported and we know that we can rely on ourselves and the networks and structures that we've put in place for ourselves. So this is the capacity to have a really good idea, a fresh new perspective, to make a new plan that will bear fruit. And I believe that's all I have to say about that, so I will leave you here. My name is Melanie Rose, and I appreciate you all so much for showing up. I will see you back here tomorrow for more daily aspects.